Robert, we've got a major problem.
Oh no, what?
The major problem is Canadian real estate.
What aspect of it?
Well, every aspect of it. On this episode of Real Estate Chat with
John Dirk Perez.
and Robert Eady, we're going to be talking about the same problems we've been talking about since we started Real Estate Chat. And if we do this for another couple decades or so, still probably going to be the same problems, Robert, right? And it starts with this article here, which says immigration is part of the solution. We've talked about immigration in the past. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our previous episodes. And we will link all of these articles in the show notes. But basically, there's a couple of proposals on this article alone. Open up access to the Housing Accelerator Fund. Immigration is part of the solution. Moving towards mass production, so speeding up development and planning so that more and more subdivisions, communities can be launched in a quicker fashion. Robert, there's 5 articles you want to go through. Do you want
Well,
to
this
dissect
this
this one
this
first?
this one is beauty. Okay. Now the key thing here, the paragraph starts out in March 2023, the federal government launched the $4 billion Housing Accelerator Fund to fast track the construction of at least 100,000 new homes countrywide. Now, you get 10 provinces, so is that a lot? By 24-25. Now, the message, quote, if you want to tap into the fund, now this was not a condition before, this is a new string they're trying to have. You must be more ambitious than your neighbors. Specific, be more ambitious when it comes to zoning. So he's now trying to attach a string. It's not about immigration being the solution at all. It's about this gent, Fraser, going around and saying, if you want more of our accelerator free money, then you've got to do more density. You've got to change all your rules. You've got to destroy your communities in order to get the money that you say that you want to solve the housing problem. And it's not solving the housing problem. But what does the newspaper say? Immigration is part of the solution. Housing market turned the corner, Phil Soper. What is the problem? If we have unaffordable housing, that means the price is too high, it's too high to finance it, and incomes are too low. So is this destroying the community by changing the zoning? Is that addressing any one of those components? No.
Well, immigration is part of the solution, though. This
That's not what
article.
he's saying in this. He's not saying in this. What he's saying is there's strings attached to the accelerator fund. If you want the money for the accelerator fund to build rental housing, you've got to increase densities. So all of the things that your zoning was there to set out saying, we'll have the detached here and we'll have the semis here and we'll have the old part here and the new part, and this is the industrial and this is what employment is and everything like. To heck with that. Just density, 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 density. And you got to be more ambitious than your neighbor and you'll get the accelerator money. So anyway, that string was never attached to the accelerator fund. They were just about to get rid of it when this came up and they decided we'll use this to stimulate it. Projects that were already in the works are now getting stimulation. They're not producing one more affordable unit. They're getting greater density, so they're able to put 5 or 6 more stories on it, and those will be the affordable component. But they were already building that project anyway. This is just making it cheaper to rent.
Well, let's
So
now
this
go
is
back.
not the solution. This is not the solution.
Okay, well, let's go back in time first because we have a whole bunch of articles to share with our
Okay.
real estate chat viewers today. And this was now from last year, going back in time. Mr. Fraser is also mentioned in this article, and this article is an opinion, a simple plan to help boost Canada's affordable housing supply. Uh,
Exactly.
what's that, Robert?
Exactly. A simple plan that will solve our own problem and put it onto somebody else. And it gets a full column, opinion column in the newspaper. Now, what's the idea? The idea is for government money to be given to nonprofits who will buy up these very same folks, the Canadian rental housing providers for affordable housings, existing buildings that are rent controlled, so they've got a cap on their income, in worse terrible condition than anything else because they're 50 years already. They got old hydro, they got old heating, they got old everything, and they need tons of work, except they can't spend the money on it because they're capped with their rent control. So get some nonprofit to buy our existing buildings and we'll build new ones. That's his solution. So the government will bail him out and he'll take the money and build new ones, start fresh with no rent control.
Well, for example, cities such as Toronto just received $471 million. This was late last year in federal funding for more housing in high density locations near transit, something you've been talking about. And then so province of British Columbia have also looked into this funding program. Robert, these are more and more proposals of solutions to it, but will it really fix the supply part of it? Considering that a lot of this is also rental related properties, not
Well,
even
these are
properties you can buy.
everything is a rental solution because they can't. This is what they're addressing now. This is what they're addressing, the rental component. Now, all of these apartment buildings, they were built in 1965. They're on huge pieces of land. So instead of doing what this one guy wants to do, have some nonprofit come along and take him out, give him the density, let him put another apartment building on his piece of land. So he can build the new one. He can have two. He'll keep the old one in place. Or smash the whole thing down, relocate those people temporarily. But there was already zoning in place for high density rentals. Now you're increase the density, but you're not spreading it everywhere. Everybody is just solving their own problem. They're coming up with a recommendation to solve their own problem, doesn't address the whole need.
Now, Robert, what about raising property taxes? Would that be a solution to the problem?
Well, raising property taxes is one way to get not elected or not reelected. But that's not what it here. It's a good headline. Olivia Chow sticks it to Justin Trudeau as Torontonians contend with steep tax increases. They put together a budget that included everything, including this kitchen sink, and said there's going to be a 16.5% tax increase unless they get $250 million from the federal government, who's coming up for reelection right now, so they can handle the homeless people that have come in, and also the people from what do we call it? Undocumented surprise visitors that come across from Roxton Road, and there's no more room in Quebec, so they're coming down here. So there it is. Trudeau may have no other option than to pay the ransom fee the city of Toronto is demanding. So these folks are not trying to solve the housing problem. They're trying to get more money for their pet projects. That's all. And so Olivia Chow was a good NDPer, and Justin Trudeau is half an NDPer, maybe three quarters, maybe 7/8. And he's going to pay somebody else's money to solve her problem so he doesn't have a problem.
Well, for those watching Real Estate Chat, and we are real estate brokers in the city of Toronto, Robert, how steep is this new tax, this property tax being imposed on Toronto properties?
Okay. If you are absolutely impartial, I don't care what my taxes are, and if they go up 100%, I'm not upset. You're going to get 10% this year. And if everything's going up 5%, then, and they didn't do an increase for the last several years, they're behind. You have to have a look at the budget and what they're doing now and cut out anything extra, nothing extra this time. No, 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 no. What can we do cheaper? No pet projects. And you're going to have 5 for sure, probably 10. The 16 is just a threat so that they get the 250 million from Trudeau, free money for them. That if you can borrow money, or if you can get it assigned to you, if you can get it allocated to you from another level of government, it's not on your budget. You don't have to collect taxes for it. But where's it coming from? Toronto was the one that's giving most of the money, 40% of the money going to Ottawa. So it's just coming out of a different one of your pocket, pants pocket on the left side, your pants pocket on the right side. But each budget is insulated. It's a silo. It's pretending that they're solving their problem by passing the hot potato off to the next person.
Well, speaking of passing the hot potato off to the next person, America is buying Trion Residential. So Blackstone, which is based in the US, is buying for $3.5 billion Trion Residential and taking it private. And doesn't this go counter with, increasing supply of property? Because now you've got Blackstone, a huge financial company with real estate interests and a massive portfolio, now acquiring rental properties that are here in Canada.
Okay, the hugest percentage, and the 38,000 they talk about, are in the United States, that's owned by Trion. So if you jump to the next story about Trion, is when Trion and somebody else, Tannenbaum, are getting an initiative at where they've all configured. Remember 6 points out in the East End where Dundas went along and quit, and Bloor Street went along and quit, and then it went over a bridge and under a bridge. So they spent one whole weekend and just smashed it all down, created 38 acres apparently of new land that used to be roads. And try and go along Dundas Street. It's really interesting. If you're used to the old way, you end up in another section of Dundas Street and what Blair Street. It was all a mess before, so now it's a different mess. But it did create some new land. So the Toronto um, uh, agency that's been given the right to decide who's going to do the work on these Toronto land, like they're redeveloping a parking lot that we're in here and there. So this firm, Tricon, has got the right to, been given the contract to build City Toronto owned lands that was created out of nothing at 6 Points, Housing Now. And what this is doing is building something where there was nothing before. So they're going to get free land, and they're probably going to get some of the accelerator funds to build some affordable housing, 507 market units, 218 affordable units with 19 parkings. Like, doesn't quite add up if you're ever going to have people actually live there. But the Tricon is getting into the rental. It already has existing in Arizona. I don't know where they got 38,000 detached houses in Arizona. I just don't know where they got it from because I'm not from Arizona, but that's what they're in. So these guys bought it and they're in that business. That's fine. Everybody is working on their own little niche. 3.5 billion is big money to us. To these guys in the American Stock Exchange, it's a small deal, especially when you're getting tangible assets. Tangible assets can be individually titled, individually sold. So it's I put these together to say, look at all these different projects that are underway that are supposed to be helping with our affordability crisis. Now, our affordability crisis to me is prices are too high, interest rates are too high, incomes are too low to afford the resultant monthly payment from the price and the rate and according to your income. So are any of these things addressing those things? No. They're providing rentals, properties that are more. Are they cheaper? No. Are they more? Yes. So that means the incomes have got to go up. No, there's nothing about incomes going up. The other plans are build huge properties on every main street, 6 stories. It used to be a single family dwelling or a store and apartment. Now you can put 6 stories on every single street. So are they purposely? And this is like all of a sudden the provincial government decides they're going to come up with these ministers' zoning orders, which just override anything the municipality's got planned. Well, never mind what the official plan says. This is what the new authorized zoning is for this area. Now, are you going to affect the neighborhood? Uh-huh. Are you going to now have everybody backing onto a 6-story apartment building? Uh-huh. Is that going to change the neighborhood? Is it going to change the schools? Is it going to change everything? Yes. Does anybody know that? No. But they're doing it anyway. So do we want to bust up all of the density, all of the niceties, all of the communities that have been established throughout Toronto and make them all into high density nodes along all the main streets? Never mind high density nodes along new rail GO transit up to the moon and up to the north and to the east and to the west. It's what is the solution? What is the solution to affordability? What is the solution to density? What is the solution to trying to cram everybody into this tiny area when you've got all this land up here? What are you protecting it from? What is the green belt for? What was Scarborough? What was North York? What was Etobicoke before it became a subdivision? It was farmland. Like, this is what Canada is all about. Let's be realistic about what we're doing. Where do people want to live? Do they want to live far, far away? Do they want to live as close as possible to Toronto? I don't know. I get wound up with stuff.
Well, we've got a lot more episodes to talk about this situation, and perhaps our real estate chat viewers watching this would like to share in the comments what they
Yeah,
think.
that's a good idea. Yeah. What do they think?
What's a solution? Give us a solution. We'll share it on a future episode of Real Estate Chat. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, everybody watching. Take care and bye for now.